Today, I'm Roberto. Several of my friends have asked me how I make these. In Rafala wash, they're called mwar. In Chamorro, we call them mwar-mwars. In Hawaii, they're called lei. And in Hawaii, they call this kind of mixing of the flowers Haku lei. And when it's worn on the head, it's lei po'o. So I'm going to explain how I do this. You need 3 of these tea leaves. They grow up right like this. I'm using kind of an old one just to show you how I split them, because you'll split them in half, and then whatever flowers you want to put in it. So you're going to start with your tea leaves. I've already split these. This is how I do that. You got to break this spine. You can cut it with a knife, but I just use my teeth to make a break in the spine. And then using one of my fingers on the back, I kind of slide the spine out so that the leaf is flexible. That's the bottom of it, and then slide out the top half of the spine. Careful not to take some of the leaf around it with it. And then starting from the tip, you'll just split it in half right down the middle, and it should split pretty easily after that. And then, so each of those leaves will yield 2 halves that you're gonna braid together. I'll show you how to do that. So take your first 3. I try to be neat as a principle. And then as far toward the ends as you can, tie it off. I usually take 1 around the other 2 and just use a square knot. And it's a pretty durable leaf. You can pull it pretty tight. We used to make all kinds of things, weaving leaves like this together. And you need to maintain the tension as you braid it. You can have somebody standing there holding it for you if they're very patient, but it might take 20 or 30 minutes. I use my foot. And you start your braid. Got 2 on the outside of 1 in the middle. Cross the first one over, cross the second one over, and you're just crossing toward the middle. Out, in, left, center, right, center, left, center. Keeping the tension in the braid so that it's taut, and when you start weaving your flowers in, or your leaves, they don't slip out. And you want to give yourself enough of a braid without the foliage so that you can tie it off at the end. And it's okay, you can see some of these leaves cracking, breaking on the outside, but so long as that middle part, the spine, maintains, you'll be all right. And about there, I give it a few inches slack before I start weaving my flowers in. I've got plumerias, ohiali'i, some bougainvillea that I used for previously. I don't know if I'm gonna work that into this one. Maybe I will, just to use them all up. So the lei lends itself best to patterns. So you kind of want to work with a combination that you can repeat over and over again. I love using this ohiali'i because it has these stamens that flare out, and it looks really good. And then you lay the stem of the flower in the direction of the leaf that's on top. So notice that this ohiali'i is going in the same direction to the left. You don't have to put more than 1 flower per braid, but it looks fuller when you do. I'm gonna put a plumeria in there. Then just continue the weave over the stems of the flowers, like so. And then again, the next one, you don't have to do it every braid again. Let's see, so let's come up with our pattern. I think I'm gonna do mostly plumerias for this one and make it kind of a monochromatic look. All right, so we're in the middle of it. I'm running out of leaf. We're reaching the tips of the first three halves of the leaf that I used. I've done ohaiali'i with every braid on the left. I've done 6 plumerias and then 2 braids of bougainvillea in between each set of 6 plumerias, and you can see this pattern's emerging. So this is how you continue. You're gonna take the first tip of the second round of halves, and you're gonna lay it tip first, just like the flowers, in the direction of the tea leaf that's ending, and you're gonna braid that in to extend the leaf. Now you don't want that interruption in your pattern, so you go ahead and on top of that you lay the flowers that you would sorry, this should be a red ohaiali'i, as you would in your pattern. So I'm going to put down my ohaiali'i on the left. I've got the bougainvillea, and again, just braid it over like you have been. This leaf, I'm going to add an extension there too. So take another half of a tea leaf. I'm kind of folding it up so it fits in there nice and tight. Lay that down. Grab the flowers that you're going to add in the direction of the leaf as usual. Braid over that. And then your final half, I'm going to lay the flower down first so it sticks out in the direction I want it to. Last half, and as you can see now I've got the tip of one half plus the extension in each braid. Oops. Forgot to add a plumeria, which is fine. Just make sure you keep the braid taut and you'll be fine if you have to take one out. But I'm gonna add that flower back. Now, again, just maintain the tension so that it doesn't fall apart when you finish. And just continue with your pattern. All right. Okay, so I'm reaching the end of this, and you know, you can wrap it around. This is what it's gonna look like. So you I can put it over my head, but I've got a pretty good eye. This is about as big as you want it. So I'm gonna start tying it off. I'm gonna just finish up with a few more flowers here. And when you start getting into the groove of it, you'll know to finish up right at the end of the leaf, and then you'll have the stem here. And then just keeping the braid tight, finish it up by braiding without the flowers. Again, you'll want a few inches of bare braid so that you can tie it off to the other end of the braid. And just like you started it, I'm gonna wrap one around it into a square knot. To tie it off. And depending on how much slack you give yourself, this might be tricky. Just like that. You can pull it pretty tight again, right? You don't want anything falling out. So now you have your complete mwar, and you've got enough slack on both ends to tie it. Square knot is just all you need at the end too, Tie those around each other. Tuck it in. You have your lei. Once I've done that, I like to just trim off these ends, make it a little neater. You'll see some of that, the tips of the tea leaf sticking out in the middle. If that doesn't serve your design, sometimes I'll leave them if I have green leaves in my lei, but with this it'll look more along the same aesthetic if they're not showing that much. So I'm gonna just trim them right in between the flowers.